These are the 4 reasons why being a K-pop trainee is similar to becoming an art student. So reason number 1, the girls work really hard, really hard. So you can see in the documentary, there's this girl Lexi who gets a hip surgery from dancing too much. Another person, Samara, gets tendinitis and has to get an MRI from all the training that they do. When you're in art school, it's actually a little bit similar. Yeah, you are working, 10, 15, 20-hour days sometimes. I have seen people go to the ER for not sleeping and just working so hard. Not saying you have to do that too, because usually it's not good. You can't work when you're in the ER, and usually it's poor time management or nutrition or recovery, stuff like that that's not doing really good. I've had a classmate get into a minor car crash accident because he wasn't sleeping. It was the day of the final project, and we were like, yo, David, are you okay? And he was like, yeah, I was driving and I was so tired, and he fell asleep, and when he woke up, he hit another car. But it's just not saying that you need to do that too, but it's that's the level of drive and dedication, you're putting everything, investing everything into this. So if you want to become a professional artist and you're in high school or something, you should be spending at least 10 to 20 hours a week, working on your craft and stuff. Because, professionals, they work 40, and, you got to build up your stamina and endurance if you want this to be your career. All right, reason number 2, you get harsh critiques. You got to take the feedback. So the judges and the choreographers were very critical of the girls' performances. They didn't show any mercy. I remember this one 14-year-old girl, Hinari, who was on the show, was getting critiqued by the dance instructor, and she was crying, she was in tears. I felt so bad for her. She did have kind of messy choreo, and she was actually less experienced, younger, and got to the program later. But I remember the choreographer was saying dude, the fans are gonna be even harsher. The teachers are trying to help you. In art school, the instructors can be absolutely ruthless as well. I've heard stories of an instructor taking the student's model and throwing it out the window because it was bad. And there's stories of instructors when they're walking through the critique wall, they'd rip off the student's drawing off the wall, and as it lands, floats to the ground, they're stepping on top of it and stuff. So they're really merciless, they don't play around. And I think it's really important for students to build up that mental fortitude and resiliency. The teachers are trying to help you. In the real world, a lot of times there are no second chances. So this kind of reminds me of one of my first jobs as a theme park designer. I was an illustrator at this one company. It was one of my first jobs, and the art director had me working on this one piece, and I had more of a painterly style. And he says, hey, can you make it a little bit more clean? And I did my best, but it wasn't to his liking. So later on, when I was walking around the studio, I saw him talking to this other artist. And this other artist was just basically redoing my entire piece, from scratch. All the work that I did, he was just doing it again. I was really devastated, but in the real world, people don't have time to critique you and walk you through. If you're not performing, they're gonna replace you with someone else. In some ways, we're all the same.
Don't you know we are all the same, different colors in the frame.
Meaning that we are commodities. If you're not gonna do it, they can find someone else to replace you. So listen to your teachers when you can. Reason number 3, you gotta develop skills you aren't good at. So in the show, you see that there are dancers who are really bad at singing and they have to learn how to sing. Or people who are good at singing and they don't know how to dance, they gotta learn how to dance. And being an art student is kind of the same thing. You're always learning and developing new skills, whether it's anatomy, perspective, or new software. I remember when I had to learn digital painting and I was used to traditional mediums, and then I had to learn 3D modeling, and then I had to learn a little bit of VR. And now a lot of companies want you to learn AI. Whether you like it or not, you gotta always be learning. Don't be stubborn and think that you know everything. So I do want to say though, you don't have to be a master at it. There's a minimum standard you need to meet, and that's usually good enough. You don't have to get 10,000 hours and be a master at this, and this. But if you can spend at least 100 to 200 hours learning something, be proficient at it, that's usually good enough. You gotta be humble to learn something new because you do feel a little bit stupid. And yeah, just keep developing skills you aren't good at. And lastly, reason number 4 is hard work doesn't always pay off, unfortunately. So on this K-pop show, you saw this one girl, Adela, got kicked out early. Even though she was good at singing, she was good at dancing, she ranked low on the audience ranking scores. And she was kind of booted off. Whereas like another contestant, Manon, she had low skill, low work ethic, but she did really well with social media and the audience voting. So eventually she was selected as a fan favorite. And what I want to say is companies aren't there to choose the best. Life isn't fair. This isn't the Olympics, okay? Companies are there to help them make as much money as possible. They want to get the safest bet. If you think about it, on the show, right, there's 20 trainees. Each trainee probably costs around like $200,000 to train. I'm just kind of estimating it because that's how much an art school costs. All those special instructors, dancers, you know, the makeup, the crew, the video crew and everything like that.
Probably around $4 million overall if you do the math.
They just want to pick those who will help them make their money back. And what I want to say is, sometimes as an artist, if you don't win an art contest, you don't get a good grade, or you don't get into your dream school or company that you want, honestly, sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes there are things that you couldn't have changed and you just tried your best. And, you know, I've lost competitions before where, you know, everyone was crying, everybody was so upset, and, you know, everyone felt really bad. But I feel like sometimes those failures, those times help shape us into who we are today. I think it's really important to train to be resilient. I remember there was a part on the show where one of the judges was saying like, oh, all the girls are mentally defeated, they are exhausted, they're at their breaking point, except for one girl. And this one girl did something that was different from everyone else. So this girl, Sophia, she was saying that every night before she goes to bed, she writes a letter to herself, you know, congratulating herself on the work that she did today, how she was pretty, she was hardworking, she's talented. She says these nice things about herself to hype her up, because in the industry, a lot of times, you know, you hear a lot of things that are bringing you down, and you have to be your own best cheerleader to hype yourself back up. So I hope this was interesting for you to hear. You know, you gotta be hard on yourself, but you also have to love yourself as well. Yeah, so that's it for the video. I hope people watch it. That's it. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching my video. On the left is a video that YouTube thinks you would like. On the right are some clips of my college dance battles and dances I choreographed, kind of like my blooper reel. Okay, alright, thanks, bye guys.
Your eyes bright, dance close under stars.